The Adventures of Milo and Otis. Magical childhood movie about the power of friendship between an orange tabby cat called Milo and a pug called Otis, where after getting lost from their farm, both of them embark on their own adventures in the real world, where they finally reunite and have their own families. A memorable movie with cute animals with powerful friendships, and a movie that sadly has a lot of rumours that animals were harmed or worse during the making of it. Claims that have put a cloud over this otherwise greatly loved childhood classic.
Yep, it's time for me to ruin your childhoods as we explore 10 things that you didn't know about Milo and Otis. Now, I just want to clear up the legal issues that all the rumours associated with the movie are simply just rumours and theories, with no facts set in stone, and that I'm just exploring what's already been put out there. Now, I'm doing this not to point fingers, but to try and learn what might have happened, and how and why. Also, just throwing it out there that this episode may get into upsetting territories. So let's take a sensitive and insightful look into this movie as we check it out.
Number 10. Milo and Otis was filmed in Japan. Despite Milo and Otis coming out in the US and other speaking countries in 1989, it was actually footage from a 1986 Japanese movie called The Adventures of Chatron, otherwise known as A Kitten's Story. The movie was co-written and co-directed by Japanese zoologist Masanori Hata, and Japanese filmmaker Konikiawa also helped to direct. The original Japanese cut was distributed by Toho, home of the Godzilla movies, and just like the US cut, it didn't feature any human characters, but did have a human narrator, in this case, Shigeru Tsuyuki. Also in this original Japanese version, our two main characters of the orange tabby cat Milo and pug Otis aren't called Milo and Otis, but rather Chatron and Pooksy, where their misadventures take place after a set of circumstances. They are no longer in their home of Nippon Farm, where they are out in the wild and must find one another. Number 9. It took 4 years to shoot. Now, apart from the basic story structure, there wasn't much in the way of a script. Supposedly, a lot of the shoot was just the animals and their natural reactions, with a variety of kittens and pugs playing Milo and Otis, or rather, Chatron and Pooksy. The movie displays some great natural scenery, with the shoot taking place at Kitakushu in Fukuoka and Hamanaka in Hokkaido, naturally giving the unpredictability of animals and the fact that you can't exactly get them to perform and act on cue. The filming process of this movie took a whopping 4 years to shoot. I guess the shoot consisted of getting the animals to the locations and to just film them and to capture them mulling about the place. Number 8. A ton of footage was filmed. Like, as in a ton. So if you thought the filming process of this movie took a long time, then the editing process of putting this movie together must have been equally as grueling, as directors Masanori Hata and Konikiawa had 72 hours worth of footage to shift through and put together in order to make a coherent movie, with 400,000 feet of film being condensed into a 92-minute long movie. So really, there was probably enough footage to make 36 Milo and Otis movies. And it makes me wonder what happened to the remainder of the footage. Is it in a vault somewhere, under lock and key, or was it destroyed? Number 7. Highest grossing movie of the year. The Adventures of Chatron was released in Japan in July 1986. And it seemed that the years it took to film the movie, and God knows how long it took to edit it together, really paid off, as the movie would go on to make $36 million, making it the highest grossing movie in Japan in 1986, and the third highest grossing movie in Japan ever, after E.T. and another Japanese movie called Antarctica. Yep, it seemed that people couldn't get enough of seeing the hapless adventures of this luckless cat and dog duo. And why not? They are very cute. In fact, the movie was so popular, it even generated a little merch, which leads us to number 6, the video game. Yeah, you heard correctly, there was a video game. So to coincide with the release of the movie, there was in fact a video game. Now, I don't know how you make a video game based on Milo and Otis, but they did it anyway. The Adventures of Chatron game was released on the Japanese Famicom Disk System, which was an early Nintendo system which used floppy disks. So in the game, you play as a cartoon, bug-eyed looking Chatron in a side-scrolling adventure, which kind of looks like a Super Mario Bros. Clone. And of course, you jump around platforms, where you have to face enemies. The only way to kill your enemies was to jump over them and drop eggs on them. Yeah, look, this game doesn't exactly capture the movie. It almost feels like it was an unrelated game entirely, but someone decided to work the game into the Adventures of Chatron due to the movie's popularity. Regardless, it is still interesting learning about this game, for if anything, that it even exists. Number 5. The American version came to be because of Cannes. It was the 1986 Cannes Film Festival, where The Adventures of Chatron was shown to a more international audience, and it seemed to gain much attention at the film festival, as Columbia Pictures would end up buying the distribution rights for a US release. Now, say what you want to say about the movie and some of the questionable things that may or may not have happened to make it, it is a film that can beat language barriers, as pretty much anyone in the world can watch it and follow its story thanks to its simplistic storytelling. It's basically the story of the powerful friendship between a cat and a dog and their misadventures in the wild. A premise that can appeal to anyone despite your age or geographical location. And because the story is told through more of a visual level, it could probably even be a silent movie with no actual speaking required. I think audiences would still be up to speed with what's going on. Number 4, repackaged for an American audience. So certain changes would have to be made to the movie in preparation for its American release, namely the title, which was now The Adventures of Milo and Otis, with the two main characters being called Milo and Otis, with Otis being named after singer Otis Redding. Sesame Street writer Mark Saltzman was brought in to rework the story, to make certain changes and rewrites. An English-speaking narrator was needed, where British comedian and actor Dudley Moore was hired to be the new narrator. And I feel like he put so much childlike innocence and warmth into his narration, as well as injecting lots of character into Milo and Otis. He always made the movie feel magical to me. In fact, I always felt like it kind of sounded like Moore is reading a bedtime story to small children, and when I was a kid I was all for that. This new cut also required a new score, where American musician Michael Bodica was brought in to write some new music. Although according to Wikipedia, this version of the movie also features musical cues from Elmer Bernstein's score of To Kill a Mockingbird and John Williams' score of The Witches of Eastwick. However, another big change that was made, and one that would be the subject of controversy later down the track, is the US cut of the movie would remove 15 minutes from its original Japanese cut, bringing the movie's duration down from 92 minutes to 77 minutes. The reason for this was to avoid scenes where it looked like animals were harmed or put in dangerous situations. Yeah, I guess the logic is if people can't see the possible animal cruelty that may or may not have happened, then it didn't happen at all. Number 3, US release. The Adventures of Milo and Otis was released in the States in August 1989, with the movie competing against The Abyss, Uncle Buck, and A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. It would go on to make $13.3 million in the US, of which, including how much money the movie had made in Japan at that time, took the movie's net income to $104 million, making it very profitable. The Adventures of Milo and Otis would get pretty good reviews from critics too. Siskel and Ebert gave it a semi-positive review. They both found the movie cute, but noted that it would mainly be appealing to kids. And Siskel found the movie made him feel restless, and that if it wasn't for Dudley Moore's narration, then he would have been really restless. Siskel in particular also brought up the rumours surrounding the animal's well-being during the making of the movie. Without a doubt, Milo and Otis would become a childhood classic, adored by children who watched it. Children who wouldn't have questioned what may have happened to make the movie, but rather go by what's presented on the screen. In their minds, this is a cat and a dog on an adventure, the way it's presented to them. However, since its release, some damning rumours have surfaced. Number 2. Animal harm allegations. Okay, so brace yourselves. This is sadly the part where I ruin everyone's childhoods. Since the release of The Adventures of Milo and Otis, many have put into question the animals' well-being while making the movie, with some arguing that there is no way the movie could have been made without harming animals. Despite being approved by the American Humane Society, which basically means no animals were harmed, others have called foul. Even here in Australia, the Victorian and Tasmanian branches of the RSPCA, which is an animal rights charity, have claimed that abuse allegedly took place. In fact, concerns and rumours were so persistent, the American Humane Society did some investigating to see if animals may have been harmed or mistreated by reaching out to contacts in Europe to reach out to the proper authorities and channels in Japan. Oddly, the investigations went nowhere. Going back to the review by Siskel and Ebert, Siskel even noted that the rumours couldn't be confirmed. But he did also add that there were several positive endorsements of the movie from several Japanese animal rights groups, who confirmed that no animals were harmed during the making of this movie. But this still makes me wonder, why couldn't the investigations be confirmed? Why was no definitive answer set in stone? To me, the investigation is an inconclusive, maybe there was mistreatment, maybe there wasn't kind of outcome, which isn't really a satisfying one. Some of these rumours and complaints include a cat being thrown off a 50-metre cliff. An animal liberation group in Queensland, once again here in Australia, claimed that up to 20 kittens may have perished in the making of this movie, as well as other claims that 5 dogs died, as well as a producer breaking a cat's paw to make it walk on a limp. Other scenes of concerns involve a scene of a pug fighting a bear, a cat being placed with aggressive nesting seagulls, a kitten getting pinched by a crab on its nose, and the one I find the most upsetting, a mother cat trying to protect her kittens from a snake, as well as countless scenes where animals look genuinely in distress. Truly not very nice claims associated with the movie. Now, some of these scenes just mentioned were just confined to the Japanese cut, although some of them did also make it into the American cut too. So considering that nothing was confirmed and definitively set in stone, there is really nothing to go with. Upon its investigations, the American Humane Society said, quote, "We have tried through humane people in Japan and through another Japanese producer to determine if these rumours are true, but everything has led us to a dead end." End quote. However, there are still some other damning allegations online. For example, IMDb claims, and I can't guarantee that this is true, that animal rights groups were not allowed to supervise during the making of the movie, which apparently is why the rumours couldn't even be confirmed. So if that's why the movie got the all clear from the animal rights groups in Japan, with an emphasis on the word if, and got the all clear from the American Humane Society because certain nasty bits were removed, then doesn't that mean the movie has been approved by default rather than actuality? I also just want to add that this is not a criticism of the Japanese film industry. Now, if these stories are true, then one crappy, irresponsible movie production doesn't speak for a country's entire movie industry. Once again, I have to stress, all this is rumour. No actual accounts of any animals being harmed have been confirmed. So we can't say with certainty that animals were harmed. But I also feel that because the investigation was inconclusive, we also can't guarantee that they weren't harmed. But all that aside, viewers have still noticed that in some scenes in the movie, animals do appear as though they are in distress. For example, I guess you don't need an investigation to see that a cat was thrown off a cliff. Yeah. Number 1. So where do we go from here? I was actually hesitant to make this episode because of the rumours associated with it. I mean, come on, who likes animals being harmed and talking about it? And when I put it out there on social media that I was thinking about making an episode on Milo and Otis, but wasn't too sure, I noticed a common theme in the replies. It was like a lot of people had internal struggles when it came to the movie, because they had wonderful memories of watching it as a kid and loving it, but also now as adults trying to come to terms with the consequences of what may have happened to make this movie. Almost as if people were like, are we supposed to like this movie because it's a childhood classic? Or morally, are we supposed to turn our backs on it? What do we do? Well, I don't have the answers. All I can say is, you do you. You do what you feel is right. It is a lot easier to watch this movie as a kid, because when you're a child and you're caught up in the story and magic of it, you're not observing it through the world lens of animals possibly being hurt or put in danger, but rather just Milo and Otis going on an adventure. If anything, the movie is a testament to how the world changes from seeing things through a fairy tale naivety as kids to the brutal reality of the real world as adults. Now, I haven't seen Milo and Otis in quite a long time, like years and years and years. Not out of protest or anything, just because it's a film that I just never happened to go back to, despite actually loving it as a kid. However, I do think it's an interesting movie to talk about, and once again, if the rumours are true, then it is important that we do discuss this movie, as the failings of the past is how we learn and grow and do better. Looking back at the movie as a movie, it is a warm-hearted, wonderful adventure for kids, full of fun and joy and adorable animals. But knowing the rumours that I now know, if someone said to me, hey, do you want to watch Milo and Otis? I don't know if I would want to.
This is Sebi. He wouldn't stop crying until I picked him up, but in a minute he's going to hop down again. He does that. So, really, the answer is, there is no answer. I guess this is what happened. See, told ya. I guess this is what happens when things don't get confirmed. But I figured that I'll explore the movie anyway and leave it up to you guys to decide. Because either way, due to all these stories about the behind the scenes, this is an important movie to talk about. Anyway, I'm Minty, and I'm interested to know, where do you stand with Milo and Otis? Can you look past the rumours and just see them as rumours? Or has your view of this movie been forever tainted? Yeah, let me know. See ya!